It's that time again for the assault on your ears. 4 out of 5 reviewers call Lower Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast. Tonight on our screens is a farewell to farms, and in our cups is, let's move on. Let's move on. Stavros?
No, I don't think we can move on because there's a funny story behind our drink.
My shame.
A bachelor bomb, which is 1 part spiced rum, 1 part vanilla vodka, 1 part Kahlua. And we had thought this episode was going to be a bachelor party episode because of the misleading trailer, because of course it was.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, marketing. Just totally lead us astray. You know,
I know.
I mean, if you can't trust marketing, who can you trust?
It's true. And it's funny because you mentioned you're supposed to shoot this, but we're not going to shoot this. We're going to sip this.
I put mine over ice. My second one. My first one I shot, that was a bit much.
Wow, okay.
Now it's over ice.
Yeah, I did mine over ice as well. It's tasty. I think the Kahlua really rescues it from being too boozy.
Yeah, so I have this off-brand coffee liqueur that is, it's kind of dragging it down. I need a little bit of sweetener in it to make this work, I think.
Interesting. I thought the Kahlua did a decent job, but maybe you need the little sweet to make it work for you.
Maybe.
But we're talking about A Farewell to Farms, and as usual, we're going to look at the Paramount Plus episode description for this. So the episode description says, Dr. Migleemo cooks up some hot dishes, while Mariner prefers hers served cold.
That makes no sense, Paramount Plus. God, you're just referencing Star Trek tropes that don't apply here. Like, Migleemo
it's
works.
The Klingons prefer dishes served cold, revenge and whatnot. But
revenge! They prefer revenge! There's no revenge in this episode! It's
but
the exact
Klingons,
opposite of revenge! It's repaying debts! Oh my god.
Yes.
It's so lazy.
They're at least trying. An effort's being made.
You know what? It's not being made. It's some guy who watched Star Trek back in the 80s, and, they wake him up from his recliner every now and then to write a goddamned synopsis.
Mike McMahon probably writes this himself, and he's like, these a-holes don't appreciate my genius in the metadata.
If Mike McMahon is writing these, then you should be ashamed, sir.
Amazing. At least it mentions the A and B plots.
Yeah,
that's at least
true.
something.
Yeah, and I mean, like, which is the A plot? Is the A plot Ma, or is it...
I think A plot is Ma.
Yeah, so the B plot
Migleemo.
could probably go without mentioning. It's a little weak this time around.
Oh, in what way?
You know what? It has a few good jokey jokes, but overall it's just... It's not really strong. It doesn't grab me. I don't know what else to say.
Oh.
Let's get into it. Let's just talk about the episode. We'll get into it. Yeah. And I'm sure our conversation will bear out my opinion.
I think it will. But let's talk about Boimler first. I mean, he does appear in the Klingon plot, but how do you feel about the little pencil mustache coming in there?
Yeah, no Sam Kirk jokes? Come on, guys. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, he really does make him look like that.
Yeah.
But, I gotta say, it's having an effect on his, how he handles himself in the episode.
Yeah.
Making him more confident, maybe.
Well, I feel like this is all the story arc of this season is Boimler's growth as a character. Because, we've never done this before. We've never had Boimler deal with his problems and grow as a character. This is brand new territory. I mean, not at all. But, I like the fact that, it's a bold move to have your animated character grow a beard throughout the season. That's a lot of animation work. And they had to go back in the trailers and hide it by altering the scenes to remove the beard growth.
Did they do that? I haven't looked at the trailer recently.
Yeah, go rewatch the trailer. They edited it out. It's crazy.
That's amazing. But, I'm starting to have some suspicions about Boimler because at one point, and we'll get into the details when we talk about that plot, but he says that, he's talking to Ma about, not going back to the cool ship. And he says he was sent to a cool ship and then he realized it wasn't for him and then transferred back to the Cerritos. And is he talking about his transfer to the Titan at that point?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't voluntary.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that's kind of like a cover. And now he's just saying, I transferred back and it wasn't my plan, which implies, that, hey, he's saying he transferred back, but the reality is he was transferred back,
Yeah, it wasn't up to him, right?
Yeah, and now he's saying, hey, it was all for the best in the end, which obviously it was, because, we're getting, 3 more seasons, right? I mean, that's what's happening here, right?
Yeah.
We're not in denial at all.
No. I got a little suspicious here because we know William Boimler is going to make a return during the season. So, I was like, is something kind of shenanigan-y going on here? Because he's talking so positively about something that wasn't really positive for him.
I don't think so. I think it's just, it's Boimler's growth as a character.
Yeah. I like it. I like that as the beard is coming in, he's getting more and more confident. But I don't like that he had to be inspired by another person, even if it was himself, to do it. I want him to do it on his own.
Yeah, and I may have just totally forgot. What happened to the pad? Did the pad just disappear?
They haven't brought it around in a while.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, he's I was almost like he's making it up, kinda. But I do like the fact that he's progressing and growing the beard.
Yep.
Literally for the show, so.
Yeah. I'm on board for this.
All right, shall we jump into some of the plots then?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to start with first? The good one or the bad one?
I want to start with the bird people one, and I'm going to call that one the not as good one. Mostly because it's Migleemo, and we have historically not really enjoyed Migleemo here. Because I
love Migleemo. He's such a ridiculous character, and I feel
he is goofy.
This episode really carries that, but it also is all hey, Migleemo's actually kind of competent, right?
Yeah, yeah, he turns out to be kind of competent at the end.
Well,
when he's diagnoses the taster's problems.
Yeah, definitely.
And he can solve it.
I also love, they're building on his species, and their whole ridiculous, we went to the stars to find new things to eat.
I thought at first it was kind of just a bit for Migleemo, he makes the food analogies, but they've just kind of expanded that to be his whole culture.
Yeah, and it makes him slightly less ridiculous.
Yeah, it really does.
It's a cultural thing.
I like how they call them the Cloacans, which of course sounds a lot like cloaca, which is like an animal's butthole, basically. Yeah. God. Is that a little too on the nose, did you feel like, or was it funny?
God, I don't know.
It's right on the cusp of too much.
Yeah, right on the cusp. I do want to talk about one thing. Did you notice, so when they start to feast, they pull out their utensils.
Tools.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you notice the one that they selected, what it does? It pre-chews their food for them.
Yeah.
And that is something that Migleemo called out earlier about how his replicated food barely tasted pre-chewed. Such a ridiculous thing and fantastic.
That was
so good.
Great.
So good.
Those taster characters in general are definitely just caricatures of the culture, because we're getting into their culture and stuff in this.
Yep.
But the one thing I really loved about them is at one point Tendi is doing some research about them, and she pulls out this pad and she's looking at their recent online activity, and it looks like a YouTube video feed with bad reaction videos on them.
Yes.
They're just food vloggers, and they're the best, the epitome of their culture.
I guess whatever your culture aspires to, bad reaction videos or whatever.
I guess so. It's the only YouTube-esque reference we've seen in Star Trek. So,
well, I think that's just a social media thing in general. Although I guess YouTube that has become very prevalent is the ridiculous splash art of "this is awful," absolutely terrible. The hate train. Totally. Yeah. These guys are on that bandwagon. They're getting views, even though they are getting views by having psychological issues, I guess. Yep.
I love this is one of many establishing shots that we've seen this season so far, where we get a view of the Cloacan architecture when they go down to the planet. And I love how all their architecture is just, it's right on the nose, egg-shaped buildings and birdcage shaped buildings. And you can see like there are these ships flying in the sky in that establishing shot, and they have little signs on them. And one's like a burger, and another one's I think noodles. So they're definitely getting the bird food people
definitely
motif going on.
Food culture. A little weird though. Like the bird people have egg-shaped buildings? What's that about? Yeah.
It's like, what if we had like womb-shaped buildings? That would
be
right?
super weird.
But they're going with it. Did you notice they full name dropped Migleemo? His first name is Gabbers.
Yeah. So have we heard his first name before?
I don't think so. It's just been Migleemo. He was a one-namer before.
Well,
and now he has two.
And both of them are awful.
Yeah. But does this plot actually improve your view of Migleemo? It sounds like yes, because we can blame his culture for all the goofiness.
But we knew that because he mentioned in the episode where he's mentoring Tendi that was why his species went to space. And it's kind of like, oh. But you know what? It does improve Migleemo in my esteem because his people, the only others we've met, are way worse than he is.
That's true.
So it's like, oh, your species is just trash. So no wonder you're just hot garbage. And I'll take hot garbage over basic trash any day.
Okay. Yeah, him being the mildest Cloacan really helps his image a bit.
Yeah. And I do want to comment, this is the first arc where, we had, despite what we had said we weren't going to do this season, made some predictions.
Yes.
And one of us, I'm not going to say who, may have predicted that the bird people in this episode were Migleemo's parents.
Oh, yeah. That didn't turn out well.
Yeah.
Whoever that was.
And suddenly I'm thinking that may have been really racist.
Hey, we're already being pretty racist.
God, yeah.
We're racist against Cloacans.
So, I apologize for any offense to bird people. It was not intended. I'm already face blind for normal humans. Throw bird people into the mix, it gets a little rough for me.
Yeah, I mean, when you're calling them animal butts, their whole name is animal butts, it's easy to be racist, I think.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's Mike McMahon's fault. Let's blame him.
There you go. See?
There you go, Mob. Take your pitchforks over there.
Anything else about this plot? I mean, I think the most interesting stuff was the Cloacan culture. The whole, Migleemo subplot, and the guys not having, their taste palettes removed or, they've lost it. It was okay. It was okay.
I do want to mention one thing. Did you catch the dish that the crew made for the bloggers?
Oh, like the multi-eyed weird fish thing? Yeah.
It was an Inaran hogfish.
Okay.
But Inarans, they're native to the friggin' Delta Quadrant. They're the people that could, telepathically put their memories in other people, right? They did it to B'Elanna so that she would remember their genocidal history. Yeah. Oh. So, where are they getting Inaran hogfishes from? They have not... they shouldn't be in the Delta Quadrant in this time frame. God damn it, people.
They also say this is one of the hardest dishes to make in the quadrant, and maybe they're talking about the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, apparently it's the hardest dish because getting the ingredients, you got to go to a whole other quadrant. It takes 60 years to get there.
That's right. 60 years in the making. That's why it costs so much.
Oh, God. I don't know. Actually, this doesn't bother me at all, but I thought it was a good bit. So, moving on!
It's pretty funny. I didn't even think to look up NR. That's pretty funny. I like it.
Yeah, I just turn on the subtitles and I look up every word I don't recognize.
Oh, good. Let's move on to the A-plot. I think it's the A-plot. It's the better plot for sure. The Klingon captaincy plot. And we learn a lot about Klingon culture and tech from this before we even get into the plot proper. I like how Ma has the little flip phone communicator. And I actually thought it was more of like a TOS communicator at the start. but it's clearly Klingon when you look at it.
Yeah, but I mean,
has a little flip.
It's just dated technology, right? That's Klingon as hell, right? They're behind the times. You know,
right.
they flew the Klingon bird of prey 100 years after it was out of date. That is totally Klingon.
Completely, yeah. But I enjoyed that. I love the Bloodwine delivery van that just looks like a flying box. I enjoyed that ship design.
Yeah.
If we ever do another ship episode ever again, we should definitely talk about it.
This episode has hordes of ships in the background.
Totally.
This season will probably kill us if we try to do a ships of season 5.
I was worried about season 4 going to be being hard,
Yeah.
but season 5, that's all over the place.
Jesus, yeah. I do want to talk about a couple of things, though. Like that opening sequence on Kronos.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like,
Really good, right?
Very cinematic. Just beautiful scene. I love the fact. Did you happen to notice anything interesting parallel wise between this?
Yeah, it was Picard.
No,
Picard season 1, perhaps. No.
Yeah, I mean, there are parallels there. So, Ma'a is the Klingon Boimler, right? In the Lower Decks episode Wage Douche, where they see all the other Lower Deckers. Ma'a is the Klingon Boimler. And in this episode, what does his family
he goes
do?
To a vineyard too.
He's basically running a vineyard.
That's so funny. I didn't even think of that. You're completely right.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's even wearing the ridiculous vineyard hat that was like established at Chateau Picard, right. And it somehow is just like stuck through the entire series. Utterly ridiculous.
That's amazing. Yeah, completely. But I have questions about this Bloodwine farm. So is Bloodwine made from Gach?
Well, I mean, are we sure these are Gach worms? I mean,
I'm not sure. But they look like Gach.
I am betting these are some other type of blood worms. I mean, like, there's lots of different types of worms, man.
Sure.
So
is that being racist too against Klingons?
I mean, racist against worms. There's lots of different races of worms. Oh, Stavros. All worms are exactly the same.
That's right. Yeah. But I don't know. Klingons being really into a wine made from worm blood. It just seems weird. I kept on thinking it was like it'd be an animal or something.
I always assumed, I always assumed that blood wine was something where like you drain the blood of an animal, like you normally do when like preparing a carcass, but then you fermented that blood of that animal somehow. But no, it's worms.
Right. It's worms.
Which
you even
is
step on them.
Super weird that this like ultra hunter violence culture, so much of their diet apparently is worms.
Very strange. They're one with the land.
Super
it's a pest
strange.
control.
Yeah, you know, whatever's got to get you through the day, Klingons.
That's right. We get a lot more. There's all kinds of new Klingon stuff in here. I love that Malor and Maz farmer outfits still have like the TNG Klingon belt that has been on Klingon costumes since Klingons in the 80s.
Oh my god, yeah.
Even like the overalls.
Yes. Utterly ridiculous. But I also love the fact that like they're still wearing the vineyard costume in a certain way. They're just wearing like Klingon coveralls. Utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty funny. And then we get even more Klingon design motifs, which is basically spikes on literally everything. Like the barrels have spikes, the buildings have spikes, the little speeder bike has spikes. And you know what the heck? We see a bear Klingon feet in this episode, and they have spikes on them.
So,
have we seen bear Klingon feet before?
Yes. We actually saw
like
Worf's feet in TNG.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing.
They have spikes on them?
No. Worf had little nubs. But I suspect those nubs were filed down or where it had that spike removed, right? It makes perfect
like a
sense.
kind of situation.
Yeah. And it totally makes sense, right? Of Worf trying to fit in when he's young in Earth culture or trying to wear Earth clothes even. It's actually really super interesting because they supposedly, all the way back to TNG, I can't think of the guy's name. What is it? Chicken Curry, I think?
What?
No. Dan Curry. God,
Dan Curry, okay.
That sounds like
Not
a
chicken
terrible
curry.
dish.
That's racist.
God, yeah. Dan Curry sounds awful. Chicken curry, delicious. Dan Curry sounds awful.
Not as good, yeah.
But he did artwork of, like, Alien Anatomy. Like, he did a bunch of, like, artwork stuff, design stuff for Star Trek. But he did Alien Anatomy, and he did this really famous Klingon anatomy. And that was a part of their foot biology. They had that weird claw for no apparent reason.
Right. Is that why the Klingon shoes have the little pokey thing on them? So they could fit their foot into the shoe?
I would assume so, but, like, how would you even put that on? It makes no sense.
They beam your shoes on. That's how they get around that.
That's my canon. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, spikes on everything. The foot spike was the perfect icing on the cake for the Klingon spike culture, which is pretty good. But my favorite new addition that has been hyper canonized now is the road rage exclamation of Experience Beige.
Experience Beige. So basically, like, this kind of implies that Experience Beige is like the Klingon equivalent of FU, right?
Yes.
And that really reframes that 90s VHS game. Because
it really
freaking
does.
Gowron said that to me all the time. And now, my heart hurts a little, Gowron.
I know.
A little.
I know. You have to hope for that low-level malfunction, so you draw the card, the good card instead of the bad card.
Yeah.
Man, but I think you can, speaking of that, I think you can go on YouTube and you can, if you manage to get a copy of the physical board game, you can just watch the video on YouTube and play the game to the YouTube video. So
yeah, I have no interest in doing that. You kids have fun doing that. I remember VHS games, and they do not pique my nostalgia interest.
Interesting. I wonder if they hold up. I kind of want to try it just to see if it does.
Oh, looks like we got a Let's Play coming.
No, I guess so. But yeah, I love that. All the kinds of new Klingon tech and culture happening there. So Malor, Ma's brother.
Yeah, did you see what he's
interesting
playing?
voice actor.
Oh, you want to talk about the voice
his little
actor?
video game.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff.
It's like this weird, janky Klingon R-type.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's got like a
You can see the
vertebrae.
screen at some point.
Yeah, shooting like just random
triangles.
shapes.
Yeah.
I assume they're Tholians. God, man. And he's really into
so.
it. Like the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, geez, dude. It's
really into
2400. Play something better. Jesus.
I love that character so much. His attitude and inflection.
Oh, my God. Yeah, best
It's
addition
super-
to the
yeah, I
series
love
so
it.
far this season.
But yeah, the voice actor is Sam Witwer, and
Yeah.
he's done a lot of voice acting, but I know him most from Maul in the Clone Wars the animated show, but he's done tons of stuff.
You know what? I think that we're kind of in the same vein on that. That is really where I remember him from, is the Clone Wars.
But it's cool. He's done lots of fun stuff.
Yep.
But let's talk about one of the scenes. They go to the bar to deliver the blood wine, and there's a lot of fun stuff in the bar. Is the accordion band, is that actually supposed to be Klingon acid punk? Or is that not hardcore enough?
No. I do like the fact, though, that one of the Klingon band members is playing the... I always call it the Klingon accordion, but I think it's a concertina, I think is what it's called.
Oh, it has a name. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually a real instrument, right? They just made it all Klingon-y. But it first showed up in DS9 at the Klingon restaurant where Cisco took... Was it Marta? I don't remember what his girl of the week was in that episode. Because, you know, Cisco's kid got around, if you know what I mean.
He really did.
But yeah, so that was the first place it showed up. And then it's just super weird that they brought it back in this episode.
Yeah, I'd never really seen Klingon musicians before,
Yeah.
have we? Not like a band? Not really.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that episode, that's really the only place I really remember it. I do like the fact, though, that they call out one of the other members of the band, where Ma's girlfriend, she's here to support the thrash lute player.
The thrash lute player, yeah. How's that a thing?
You can't just add words to things and expect them to sound Klingon, like, let's add the most angry word we can think of to this real-world thing, and suddenly it'll be Klingon. Like, yeah, he's driving a Rage Datsun. No.
A Rage piano.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
An anger flute.
Anger flute. Actually, your flute sounds really metal, and I totally want to get one.
Yeah, the whole band bit was pretty funny.
It really played it up really well.
I like the bartender basically references some like Klingon tea when she's like, we've only had to serve tea to these guys.
Yeah, that's the tea that Jadzia served to. I think it was first Kor she served it to, and then she also served it when Kor, Koloth, and Kang and her were all together. Where she was trying to say, "No, I'm still Curzon," and then like at the end of the episode, she's all like, "I'm not Curzon anymore. This was horrible." Great callback. Love that episode.
He makes an appearance, so
yeah.
You can't get drunk on it apparently, though, which seems very unclean.
I think no, because here's the thing. Upset. I think you can get drunk on it, but it's like when you're a hardcore alcoholic and somebody says you want a beer, and you're like, I mean, what are we drinking? They're like, oh, it's a Bud Light, and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to be sober all day. That
was the equivalent, yeah.
Yes.
But the highlight of this scene, I think, is Kalara. And that's the Klingon lady that hits on Ma.
Yeah!
Very cool. Voiced by Mary Chieffo, who is L'Rell from Discovery, actually. So another star-studded vocal cast for sure. My favorite thing about her is that she tries really hard to hit on Ma. She goes, oh, I love captains. And Maylor's like, well, he's not a captain. She's like, well, you could be a captain. He's like, yeah, I guess so. She's like, I'm still super into you. And then what's the actual thing that turns her off is Mariner showing up.
Oh,
apparently associated with humans was
worst wingman in the world. You know the worst part about this whole episode is this just makes me want to get a revisit of all these characters. And it's not going to happen now.
I know. It's all done now.
Actually, that's not true. It'll happen in the Lower Decks movie. That's going to happen. 5 seasons in a movie. Okay. That's the standard now. That's my story.
It's going to be the Wage Douche movie.
Yes.
I'd love to see Mary Chieffo come back. She did a great job in that. Oh my god,
just hilarious, and it's like played straight the whole way through.
I know.
Oh god, so good. Just props to everyone involved.
Yeah, I love how Boimler is so excited to be there. It's part of the Boimler pencil mustache. Apparently, is he's so excited to be there. He doesn't care he's getting beat up. He's having a great time. He's got some confidence coming in.
This whole episode is, to quote a character in the episode, Boimler as hell. Like, I love the fact that there's constantly these moments where Boimler's all like saying something and then immediately reverts to being like the exact opposite. So like here he's all like, oh, this is going to be or not here, but there's a scene where he's all like, oh, this is going to be awful, but it's going to be Klingon as hell. And he leaps on the target. He's like, ah! Then he's all like, ee! Oh, God. It's so great just seeing Boimler being Boimler.
It's really good.
Yep.
It's really good. He's always entertaining.
You know, one of the things that I didn't notice on the first watch of this episode is there's the scene where in the foreground, Ma'a and Mariner are talking. But in the background, Boimler is interacting with the bar patrons. Yeah. And it does not go well for him. And they just
getting thrown around. He's having a good time, though.
I love that animation trope where something's happening in the foreground and you're animating it. Yeah. But then, like, in the background, something completely different and totally ridiculous is happening. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. I'm still kind of happy that Boimler didn't actually get stabbed, you know. He's just getting roughed up.
I mean,
maybe the Klingons know to not stab a human because that'll just end poorly.
Either way, you know, he can get stabbed, he can not get stabbed. I mean, they got good medical technology. He'll be fine.
Yeah, there's enough stabbing that happens later in this episode, which I'm sure we'll get to. Anyway, so they all get out, you know, sign up to go to the Oversight Council to get Ma's ship or command back. And who do we have on the Oversight Council is Corin from the season 1 appearance.
God, I love that they brought this guy back. You know what? One of the things that I noticed, though, is going back to his original appearance. Did you notice that Boimler pronounces his name Corinne?
Yes. Maybe he mispronounces it, and then Corin mispronounces his name back to him.
Yes! Oh,
Is that just a deep cut?
I gotta believe that was intentional. Oh, God, it was so funny.
It was great.
Oh, such a great bit, and I gotta believe that was tied together. There's no way that is chance.
That was fun.
Yep.
Did you notice in that scene where they're walking into the Oversight Council, there's some props in the background, some suits of armor on mannequins, and it's armor from Star Trek Online, from like armor that you can get for your character. It's kind of neat.
I always kind of wonder who animates this show, right? Because either they're getting very clear instructions, or there are fans of Star Trek as a whole animating this thing.
Yeah.
There is no way that happens by accident.
Yeah, you got to think it's an artist that's like, I need something to put in the background here. What's random Klingon stuff? Or they play STO, and they're like, oh, this would make a good thing. And they take it and put it wholesale in there. So it's good. Canonize that shit. I love to see it.
Definitely. I love like the callbacks to the IP as a whole.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Always good. Always good. You know, so they're going through all of these various trials, and the pain stick ones, hilarious. There's a shot where they're all climbing onto Maylor to, I don't know about the logic here, but they're distributing the shock amongst the four of them, and Mariner is like holding onto Maylor at his midsection with her arms and like just like grabbing around him, and she's like having serious dialogue with Bargh at the same time. And just that shot was just comedy gold.
That whole scene,
it was all the animation too.
But what is the deal with Klingon rituals, right? They always involve pain sticks.
Yeah.
Like the Rite of Ascension in TNG, the Arbiter of Ascension used them. I think there was even like an implication they were used them for their birthdays. Like,
isn't it on the bachelor parties too? Isn't that why we got
I could have sworn, but you know what? Going back and looking it up, I actually don't think they used pain sticks.
Oh, okay.
So you know what?
Faked out.
I think that I'm a terrible Star Trek fan. I think that's what it comes down to.
You're right, though. They do seem to like pain and suffering, and there's plenty of that in this.
I do want to say though, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh.
When they formed their group, right? Because originally there's only 3 of them, and Blargh is all like, "You need 4," and they go and get
Blargh.
That's his name. His name's Blargh.
Bargh.
No, it's Blargh. It's the same name as that dude from You Can't Say That on Television, the cook guy, right?
Bargh. Bargh.
I think you're wrong, dude. I've watched this twice now, and I distinctly remember it.
Okay, you Blargh, potato.
I don't know. What's a potato? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's the same as a potato, except
that doesn't sound right. Anyways,
you're saying something about Bargh.
Yes, and he. So like all through this episode, there's just so many Klingon words. I finally had to just start going to Google Translate and hoping for the best. But he calls their group of 4. He calls them as a group. What was it? Lujalpool? I'd have to re-listen to it to pronounce it. I probably should have done that. But apparently, when I plugged that in, it means the myriad things are lost. What does that even mean?
Interesting. What if they really? I mean, I assume they would have. They did go to, an actual Klingon linguist and get some words.
They probably have the actual original Klingon dictionary, and it probably makes sense in the way it's written in the dictionary. And then Google Translate is like 6 gens down the road, where it's like when you translate from English to French to English to French to English to French. Yeah. And like at the beginning it makes sense, and at the end it's all like 6 sevens of the 9 sunset, and you're like, how did you get there from I want breakfast?
Yeah, we could be suffering from that. Maybe it was just supposed to be this group is lost or something like that.
I mean, obviously,
there's a lot of Klingon words
here. Stavros, but that kind of ruins my joke. So
that's why I'm here.
Don't bring me down, bro.
My question is, so Ma is hesitating because he hates being in command of a ship under Admiral Bargh, but then the dude is actually still running the Oversight Council too. It feels like there's a conflict of interest happening there. Luckily, there was a a way to get out of it with the traditions and rituals, but it seems like a little conflict of interest there.
Yeah, thank God for Boimler and his love of Klingon administrative minutiae.
You think like Klingon lawyers would have a bang-up job, pointing out.
Was there an episode? There was an episode in either Enterprise or Discovery.
Enterprise.
Was it Enterprise
Yeah.
where they meet up with the Klingon lawyer?
Archer has the lawyer.
Yeah, and he's all like, I do battle in the courtroom. And you're like, that's not... Oh, God, dude. No wonder your people
Do you
don't
think there'd be a
respect
vocation there? Because there's obviously so easy to poke holes in anything you want using the ritual dictionary.
Yeah, I feel like 70% of Klingon conflict would be resolved by trial by combat.
Hey, and that's exactly what happens in this episode, isn't it?
Not
and how
really.
about that fight scene?
I mean,
not really.
Kind of, right? It gets resolved by the rite of conscription.
Right.
Yeah, that leads to combat. But damn, dude, that fight scene was brutal for an animated comedy show.
I know.
Jesus.
I was like, I watched it the first time and my mouth kind of dropped a little bit at the ending shot of Bargh in the chair with the blood everywhere. I was like, damn, that's a little hardcore.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't like it. I was just surprised a little bit.
Oh my god, brutal, absolutely brutal. You know what?
Was it a plus for you? Did that help the episode?
I mean, not really, but it was definitely awesome. Probably belonged in a more serious Discovery style show, less in a animated comedy show.
Yeah, I could see that. But still, that's how that arc ends. What'd you think of that overall? Are we missing anything? Anything else you want to mention about that whole Klingon stuff? That Ma gets his command back. I mean, if you call it that, command of a ship that he already flies, I guess.
Well, I assume it's that he is actually now a member of the Klingon Defense Force.
And he flies like a crate.
Yeah, he flies a crate, but it's a crate that he has total loyalty from the crew. And that's the big ending, is like his brother finally respects him and he recognizes his brother's value. And you can't go wrong with that story arc, man.
Yeah. No family drama ever happens with the Klingons.
Never. I mean, if there's one thing that Star Trek has laid down, it is that family is paramount. There has never been... Oh, wait, fuck. That's like 72% of every Klingon arc. Dang it!
But my God. At least Bargh's huge Targ gets a new home. The Targ is okay. He's living with Malor on the farm, or at least inside the crate-shaped ship, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean...
He's not getting pushed into battle anymore.
Well, I mean, maybe he enjoyed battle. You don't know. What do Targs like? I don't know.
He's not endangered anymore. That's the important thing.
Yes.
You never want to see the innocent animal get trashed. And now he's living on a farm. Not the bad kind of going to a farm. He's literally living on a farm, having the great time with other little Targs.
I'd buy that for $1.
But yeah, so at the end of the episode, we get, Mariner and Boimler fly off.
And they get the resolution, or not the resolution, the movement forward of the season arc, right?
Yes. We get the little mention of the artificially made space holes.
Yep. It's not just something rifts that's randomly happening.
Yeah. So that's a little something. I feel like, at first, when they've been dropping these season-long arcs, I'm like, oh, can we piece together what they're doing with that? And I think there's just not enough. There's no way to predict what this is about.
I mean, we're on episode 4, and how many episodes are there? Yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah. I mean, we had totally figured out last season that, Nick Locarno had been stealing ships for his evil empire. We figured that out by 5 or 6, right? I feel that's totally what happened. That's totally not revisionist history. We're always right about these things. I mean, that's why we're drinking Bachelor bombs, because...
That's right.
Yeah. Ma is a bachelor in this episode, and he remains a bachelor at the end. Everything makes sense. We'd never get it wrong.
We're always right. I think we should just go with that. That should just be the name of the episode. Our prediction was correct.
We're always right, even when we're wrong.
Yeah.
Especially,
so we'll see what happens with that. I want to know. I hope it's not like Beard Boimler is evil or something.
No.
Although that would divorce Boimler from his imitating his duplicate.
I hope that. I hope not. That'd be so lame.
I love at the very end when Malor has the bones fall on him when he was trying to install them on the crate, and he goes, "I could see Kalis It's the one that does impressions. It's a super deep cut to the original series.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The Excalbian dude.
Yes, the Excalbian episode.
Kalis. Yeah. So funny.
You know, but here's the best part, though, right? Like, this canonizes that the Excalbians weren't just pulling, like, a random thing. Like, this wasn't something where it's all like, yeah, the Federation view Kalis as a trickster. This is something...
It literally was.
This is something that the Klingons believe. That there is some belief in Klingon culture that Kalis did impressions, that he was a trickster. Oh, my God. Yeah, because that's the big thing about that episode.
Something that Malor is into.
Yeah, that's the big thing about that episode, though, like the original Excalbian episode, is they're all just things that were pulled from the memories and knowledge banks of the Enterprise crew.
Right.
The Excalbians didn't know. But apparently, they got a version of Kalis correct.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it was such a deep cut.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, "What does this mean? Impressions? Just being funny?" But nope.
Nope.
It's the TOS version of Kalis, which apparently is now canon.
Super weird.
But thinking about it on this episode on the whole, how'd you feel about it? I mean, for my part, I really loved the Klingon culture, and Ma coming back and all of that stuff. The whole Klingon plot was awesome. I loved it so much. Corin comes back. It's all great. The Migleemo part, I mean, it's fine. It makes me dislike Migleemo a little bit less because he's not quite as crappy as the rest of his race, apparently, who are named after animal butts. But what'd you think?
So, obviously, I've said that the Migleemo B-plot, not the strongest, but still, it had some really good bits in it, right? Migleemo definitely got some great moments. The A-plot, you know what? I'm going to pull a Boimler here. It was Klingon as hell! Really enjoyed it.
In a good way.
Very ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I would say that as far as like what we've seen so far, this is kind of tied with episode 3. I don't know. It's definitely not the best we've seen of the series.
Still a strong entry, I think, right?
I think it was a strong entry. It's definitely not the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no peanut hamper in this episode, so A++ right there, guys.
That gives it a bonus, yeah.
Yeah.
At first, when they started doing the non-standard opening credits, I was like, oh no, like, are they doing like this season's, whatever it's called,
God.
the movie entry?
Yeah.
But no, it was just good.
Crisis Point.
Crisis Point, yes.
Yeah, but they did that
That was
too.
going to be Crisis Point.
But they also did that with the last peanut hamper episode, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
yeah, it's a roll of the dice when they do that non-standard intro. But this one, I thought was really like, the rest of the episode was a downgrade from that intro, which kind of says a lot, because that intro was super cinematic and super well put together. Humorous, serious, well animated, very well done. A++.
I enjoyed it a lot too. It makes me hyped to think what is in store as far as the dimensional portal stuff for the rest of the season. So,
you know what? This is really making me look forward to the movie that we all know is coming.
Of course,
after the series is over. Yeah. Definitely.
Not copium at all.
Yes. But yeah, speaking of looking forward to things, you know what I don't have to look forward to?
Oh, what?
Another Bachelor bomb.
Oh, you finished your bomb.
Well, I mean, yes, I finished my single bomb. That is all that I had. I only have one empty cup here. Definitely. So yeah, looks like I gotta go back to the farm and, mash some grapes and come up with a new concoction for next week.
Are they blood grapes? Like, are you smashing blood grapes there?
Dude, I don't know what blood grapes are, but they sound really wrong, dude. Yeah. But you know what? While you're waiting for that, you can always check us out on Blue Sky. lowerdorks.bsky.social. Or, if you can't let go of Twitter, I know a 12-step program. And 4 of those steps are right over a bespectacled fellow who has a hard time letting go of things.
Well, you know what? I let go of Twitter pretty good. So, you know what? Just come on over to Blue Sky and interact with us there. And I promise it'll be simple as a one step of clicking the follow button.
Says the guy who still wears Twitter pajamas.